Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Wave if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you wave? Okay, good. I'm Will. I'm Heather Seisman. And here's Heather. Today, we're going to be answering your questions. And we have a list of your survey responses. And we're going to switch things to Heather here, and then we're going to answer a couple of those. And then we're going to ask you to raise your hand. Hold on, I got a problem.
I really have a lot of feedback.
Want to switch to me? Say hi to Brittany.
Hold on, I gotta change my speaker.
I just can't talk. I understand you, but reading and talking is not. I don't think so. That's what that is.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, I'm going to try this.
Hello,
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear
Great.
you.
Okay, good. Okay, Heather's going to start, and then have your questions ready. I gotta check my volume again. Okay, oh, that's better. Okay. Okay, Heather's going to start and get your questions ready. You can raise your hand. If you're not familiar with Zoom, just ask us. You can put something in the chat and I'll try to help you. Okay, I'll say on the bottom, let's send. Oh, it's under reactions, sorry. So on the bottom of your screen, it says reactions. You just hover over that, and then you can raise your hand. All right, and then you can put your question in chat, and then I'll call you out, and I'll mute you, and then you can say hi to Heather. Okay, go ahead, Heather.
Hello, everybody. It is so fantastic to see all of you and start seeing some faces to go with these names. I want to make sure everybody can hear me as well. Can everybody hear me? Anybody have problems? Let us know. Okay, good. Technical. If everyone can silence their phones, that would be great so we don't get interrupted. We've got about 45 minutes scheduled for the live event. If we have too many questions to answer, we can probably push a little past that. And to start things rolling, if everybody can post their first name in the city and state that you're calling from, or if you're from a country outside of America, let us know that. Kind of helps to people give a sense of how many people have IBS, where we're all coming from, that you're not alone with this, that a lot of people everywhere all around you have IBS and you don't even know. So I'm here in Kent, Washington, right outside Seattle. And it's a terrible day outside. It's rainy and gray and really kind of depressing. Way to end the summer. I hope it goes back to being sunny. But I know that a lot of you have been really struggling with brutal heat this summer in a lot of parts of the country and around the world. That's been a huge stress factor for IBS. So that's one of the things that we're going to kind of cover today, your biggest challenges. What do you really struggle with when dealing with IBS? Is it things like heat? Is it things like other stress? Is it diet? Is it other things going on in your life? So if you haven't posted questions in the survey, go ahead and post your questions now. We'll try and take as many of them as we can. So I would consider this a little bit of a free-for-all. Just tell me your biggest IBS challenge and I'll try to help you through it. Let's see here. It's nice to share your experiences as well, not just your questions with what you're struggling, but if you have, personal stories to share with people, if there's things that you have found that really helped you that you would like to pass on, it can be really helpful for people to hear others' experiences and not just mine. Everybody is a little individual when it comes to IBS, but a lot of the same things that hurt all of us can also help all of us. So there's a lot of commonalities here that people can share and you can help other folks as well. And hopefully you will get help from them. So please chime in, with your experiences, your history of what you've gone through, what you're dealing with, what you need help with, what's already helped you that you want to pass along to others. Anything and everything like that can be really helpful to all of us. And I get good tips and tricks from you guys as well. So pass them on to me and I'll pass them on to others.
Hey, Heather.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of people posting where they're from
All
in
right.
the chat. You want to
Oh,
call them
yeah,
out?
I missed that. Minnesota, Oklahoma. Okay. I don't have a huge chat window because of all the other stuff I'm looking at here. But those are the first two. And yeah, Mary Lee, I see that. You can put that right there in the chat. Just
Yeah.
let us know
There's
where
Judy
you're calling in
from
from.
Bonita Springs, Florida.
Yeah.
And then there's Carol from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, got a Canadian. Hello,
Hey,
Carol.
Canadians. So your prime minister is pretty bold there. So sorry to hear what happened in BC. What a horrible thing. My heart goes out to all the Sikhs out there regarding what has happened. So we're behind you all the way. All right. Let's see. We got Ashley from Henderson, Nevada.
Oh,
She got
okay.
Jan from where's that? Lauderdale, Florida. Jill from Minnesota. Zoe from Oklahoma.
Zoe.
Man, we got a lot of people today.
And a lot of
Regina,
hot.
another Canadian. Let's see here. And someone from North Seattle, Jessica, right here in her home state. Okay.
That's a local. Okay, well, get your favorite cup of herbal tea ready, your peppermint or fennel tummy tea. I've got my peppermint that I keep with me at all times, so I need this to get through the day as well. And we'll begin with a couple of the most popular questions from the survey that you took. Will's going to help feed me questions, and then we'll jump in and we'll get the live questions as well. And we have a nice comment here that the book changed your life. If you follow the diet, I'm fine. Yeah, that comes up a lot. It's following the diet that can be the hard part. If you follow it, you can be good, but it's really hard sometimes to follow that and you fall off the wagon and then you can get back on. So we can talk about that as well. So Will, if you want to let me know the top survey questions I should start with, or if there's something jumping in the chat.
We've got a lot of survey questions this time, Heather.
We do. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to pull a couple people I couldn't attend. And so we'll start with, so we don't ask for your first name, but I should have, because now I can't really say who this is. Let's see. My name is Lynn Richardson, maybe. Anyway, she says I had IBS and my problem is flatulence. There's a scribble here. So we have some crooked text here. I'm nervous or around crowded people. This has put a damper on my life. Everybody thinks I smell like poop when I shower or bag every day. I try more fiber, probiotics, and etc., but nothing will help because the moment I'm just gonna scribble, I'm under so much pressure, it comes out and smells. I do colonic sometimes. A little help, please.
Okay. So a lot of help for that. There's things that can help prevent the gas in the first place. There may be some things that help you just kind of deal with it after the fact. And one thing to mention here, if this is like such an extreme problem, it's really interfering with your daily life, and people are telling you you smell even though you've showered and changed your clothes, I would check in with a GI doc about that. That can be a sign of other things besides IBS. So there might be something going on there. There might be like some actual food allergies in play. There might be undiagnosed celiac they didn't catch with a blood test. So just make sure you're really dealing with IBS here. So one fast and easy thing that might help you sort of after the fact, since you're already dealing with gas, is you can get like charcoal panty liners. There's a whole different variety of those out there on the market if you just Google for them. That would at least help you stop having to deal with other people smelling things and making rude comments to you and giving you the stress factor about that, so that you can know, okay, even if I have gas today, it's okay, no one else is going to know. So that can be helpful just for peace of mind. But in terms of preventing the gas, yeah, look at your diet. Make sure that you're going low fat, not fat free. I would be avoiding the red meat and the dairy, coffee, soda pop, artificial sweeteners. All the big triggers can really set off a lot of symptoms, make that motility even more dysfunctional, cause the gas, cause trapped pockets of gas, which can then cause bloating and distension. I would try to really kind of overwhelm your gut with fennel tea. That's an outstanding carminative, which means that it actively helps your body reduce and expel gas and bloating. You may have to really kind of literally overwhelm your gut with that for several days to get on top of this. So brew fennel tea as strong as you can. It should brew dark brown and just drink it all day long for a couple days, like just till you're so sick of it you can't drink anymore. You're not doing something for a nice afternoon cup of tea here. You're trying to overwhelm your gut with a carminative to get on top of the gas and of the bloating. That can be a really quick fix. For a more longer term kind of strategy for help, you might want to look at trying to improve your gut microbiome. That's literally the bacteria in your gut. It's implicated in pretty much all IBS symptoms and a lot of other health problems as well. So getting your good gut bacteria thriving will help keep the bad guys in check. That can help reduce gas and bloating from forming in the first place. That's a bit of a process. It can take a good 3 months at least for the prebiotics or probiotics that are going to increase your gut flora naturally to work. So you can use your slowly fermenting prebiotic soluble fiber foods that are the foundation of the IBS diet anyways, because they're regulating motility. And that's things like your rice, your noodles, your peeled potatoes or other root veggies, your mangoes, your papayas, your oatmeal, kind of smushy foods there. Those are all naturally slowly fermenting prebiotics. That's exactly what you want. You don't want them to ferment rapidly. That would get you into FODMAPs. That will cause bloating and gas. But you really want to focus on your slowly fermenting prebiotics because they will regulate your motility and they'll also help get your gut microbiome to a healthy place. And that will prevent the formation of the gas and bloating in the first place. If you are adding on to your diet with something like the tummy fiber, so you have a slowly fermenting prebiotic soluble fiber supplement, that can help you as well. But again, you want to go slow and steady with that. You want to start low, you want to increase gradually, and you want to keep working up your dose till you get to the point where you really have the benefits of the prebiotic effect and you have really a lot less or hopefully no bloating and gas because that's really been ramped down by getting your healthy gut bacteria up. So hopefully that helps to give you some strategies to, deal with this immediately so you're not in this awful situation, and then some strategies to move forward as well to start preventing this from happening in the first place. So that was a good question. Gas and bloating can be some of the most troublesome and difficult symptoms to get on top of for people. So my heart goes out to you on that one.
Hey, Heather.
Yeah.
I'm scanning through
Oh, yeah.
questions here,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to pull out the ones that are really the big ones that everybody has the same
Yeah.
issue. Okay.
While you're looking, there's a quick one from Jessica that comes up a lot that's pretty good about fermented foods.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Which ties right into the gut microbiome. So there's prebiotics and there's probiotics. And everybody knows probiotics. That's the actual bacteria. Those are the good guys. And you can take supplements with them, or there's foods that are fermented that literally have living cultures in them. And that's the good gut bacteria. And that can be things like yogurt, people know about, but real fresh sauerkraut could have live cultures. Kimchi can have live cultures. Kombucha, the drink, it's a fermented tea, has live cultures. Miso, the miso paste that you use for miso soup, has live cultures. So all of these things are really good in terms of the probiotics and the live cultures themselves. The only thing that you really want to watch out here are what are the foods themselves. So if it's something like kimchi or sauerkraut, that's a lot of raw cabbage or other raw vegetables. Some of them might be spicy as too. So that you want to be careful with that, the actual food, and treat that carefully. Treat your insoluble fibers carefully, and your kimchi and your sauerkraut would certainly be caution insoluble fiber foods. You might have more flexibility with something like miso, with something like a non-dairy yogurt with live cultures, the kombucha, if you crack it, let it stand until it's flat so you don't drink carbonation, because that can make bloating and gas worse. That can be a good bet as well. If you struggle with all of that, can't take a probiotic, sometimes people that's a little too much for them, you might do better on the prebiotic side, which will encourage the growth of the healthy gut bacteria. So the probiotics are the bacteria, the prebiotics encourage the growth, and you don't need probiotics for prebiotics to work. Prebiotics are going to have that effect on your gut regardless. There's nothing you can do to stand in the way. If you're taking a prebiotic, it's going to have a prebiotic effect. So yeah, use fermented foods if you can. Just watch what the actual food is. But those can be a good addition as well as your prebiotics. You really can't get too much healthy gut bacteria. Just go slow and steady with your increase there. But the more you can get that gut bacteria thriving, the better off for really all health issues. It's being tied to everything, not just IBS and gut problems.
Heather, I got a good question
Okay.
from the survey. I usually get anxiety with an IBS attack. So that is a big one, right?
Sure.
That we've been dealing for years. So the age-old question, am I having an IBS attack because I'm feeling anxious? Or am I feeling anxious because when I get IBS attack, I'm worried about the pain?
Sure.
No doctor has been able to answer this. And I've had IBS for 40 years.
Oof. Well, I mean, they should have been able to answer that at this point because IBS is defined as a brain gut disorder. Like that's literally the definition of IBS. It is a brain gut disorder. It's a dysfunction of the enteric nervous system of the gut and the way that communicates or miscommunicates with the brain. And it's a two-way street. So it's a bad form of communication both ways. If you have IBS, your brain is sending the wrong misinterpreted signals to your gut is sending misinterpreted signals to your brain. It can be a really feedback loop that just reinforces in a really bad way. And the answer to your question is it can go either way. Anything that physically stresses your body, like anxiety, stress, worry, or things that aren't mental at all, like hot, humid weather, or not getting enough sleep, jet lag, anything that physically stresses your body can then set off IBS. So anxiety can certainly set off an IBS attack. Absolutely. Probably everybody has had that experience. They're really worried about something and upset and stressed out, and bam, IBS hits. That's clearly going in one direction. But just as clearly, IBS is really stressful, not just to live with and deal with this on a day in, day out basis, let alone for 40 years. But it's physically hard on your body. If you're struggling on and off and coming back and coming and going with diarrhea or constipation or back and forth, or you're doubled over in pain, that's a physical stressor right there. So that is obviously going to make you anxious and upset and worried because when's it going to happen again and how else is it going to impact my life? So yeah, IBS can cause a lot of anxiety in people. It's tied to depression in a lot of people. And also the other way around, depression in someone's brain is tied to IBS. And they're finding that all of this comes back to the gut. Depression actually maybe comes from your gut and not your brain, but it's all tied together. So it's sort of just one big nasty loop with IBS between your brain and your gut, and everything is always going to go back and forth both ways. So I hope that helped answer that.
Hey, Heather, let's see. What I'd like to do is this list of people are very, very old.
Yeah.
I have a suspicion that there are people that have known Heather for 20 years. If anybody part of this group, oh, Mary, okay, hi, Mary. Do you want to raise your hand and say hi to Heather? Because boy, 20 years is a long time. Do you see where you can raise your hand below? It says under reactions. Okay.
Mary Lee actually just posted her question too.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Oops. I'm trying to get this.
Okay.
There you go, Mary.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it's probably more than 20 years, though, I think.
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time because I was like 19 when I had my first really bad attack. But I realized that I was probably born this way. But what a doctor told me is as children, we tend to, most of the time, able to compensate. But I got sick and nobody could help me. I mean, nobody even, and it didn't really have its name, I guess.
Yeah.
So then I just happened on your website and newsletter, and it helped a lot. It really did. So,
good. Well,
but
lovely to meet you.
Yeah. And doing the fiber, I've done that for years, but I just ordered yours, so it's coming today to try it because, I had a doctor say use Benefiber only, don't use anything else. And then I just took her at her word, but and it was easy. I could get it at the grocery store and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but then when I recently did the FODMAP elimination diet, they suggested not to do the benefiber. It had
Okay.
ingredients that would be contrary
Okay.
to that.
Okay.
And so I'm using a different one, but I have always wanted to try yours. So I'm anxious to see how that
Oh,
works.
oh, keep me posted. Let me know if you need any help with the dosage and the process and all that.
Well,
Uh,
that was because I used to do it twice, the benefiber morning and night.
yep.
But then she said, "Oh, just do it at night. It helps in the morning, like you sleep." So I've only been doing the fiber, Sun Fiber, I think was the brand. But I read where you said just start slow, but maybe twice a day.
I would do it. I would divide your current dose in two and have a breakfast and a dinner kind of AM PM dose.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that you're trying to get the soluble fiber in your gut to physically regulate motility. So it'll be a prebiotic regardless of once or twice a day. That's kind of more
Okay.
dose dependent. But the bowel motility aspect of it is a function of it physically being in your gut. Soluble fiber doesn't work if it's not in your bowel. It has to be
Okay.
there in order to help regulate the contractions of the gut, the peristalsis, which should be steady and normal and rhythmic. With IBS, they're not. They're
Right.
erratic and they can be too hard and too strong and cause horrible pain, or they can be very slow and irregularly timed, and now you have constipation, or it can go back and forth wildly between two ends of that dysfunction. So soluble fiber is really the only physical thing I know that can regulate that motility as long as it's in your gut and you work up to enough of it in your gut. If you keep it there 24/7, it will regulate motility for you 24/7. It's going to regulate those muscle contractions. It also regulates water content in the bowel. So it works from either extreme. It just takes anybody's gut, whether you have IBS or not. If you have diarrhea or constipation, soluble fiber is going to regulate that to a middle point. And then if you keep it in your gut, it's going to keep you at that nice, steady, normal middle point. It's just harder to get that with one dose a day. I mean, ideally you'd be having soluble fiber throughout your day and keeping it in there all the time, but two is better than
Well,
one.
I eat oatmeal every day. I mean, I've just decided that it may be boring sometimes, and that's basically helped. It was different of night and day. Just a few weeks of doing that, all of a sudden I thought, wow, it really helped. So
I would believe it. That's a good source of soluble fiber. Cream of rice is a good one if you want a little variety. Polenta can do the same thing for like a hot cereal. But yeah, and if you can expand that so that it's not just breakfast, but lunch, dinner, every snack, every meal you have has some kind of soluble fiber food foundation, that is going to give you a really good basis to keep your gut stable day in, day out. And then adding on something like your tummy fiber, your benefiber, some kind of soluble fiber supplement in addition to that can get you even greater stability, because it can be hard to get enough of the foods. You skip a meal, you forget, you're eating out. It just sometimes just too much to eat. You're not that hungry. So you got to find a way to just at least get soluble fiber in your gut, foods or supplements or a combination, so that you can keep kind of a critical mass in your bowel 24/7, because IBS is always there. That pathology is always there. It's kind of waiting for something to set it off. So you're trying to very gently, but forcefully keep that from being set off and keep your gut calm.
I think a lot of times we had this feeling that, oh, if I eat less, if I don't eat those things, then I won't have the attack.
Yeah.
But you were probably doing bad things, like your probiotics were not in balance because you were avoiding a majority of foods that fed those good bacteria.
And people are afraid to eat too. There can be a lot. My first book, the shopping title to the publishers was Eat Without Fear. And it became Eating for IBS. But my title, and still in my mind, it's Eat Without Fear, because that was the whole point of this. How do I eat without being afraid I'm going to get sick and pass out from pain? I really need to eat without fear. So if people aren't at that point, then they are afraid to eat, and rightly so, because that's a pretty huge penalty to pay for just having, the wrong meal or snack. So then you're afraid to eat because you don't know what to eat. And then the emptier your gut gets, the more it's going to hyper react when you do put something in it. And now you're really in a bad situation because you truly don't know what to eat at this point. That's not going to set you off. So, and then you're even more afraid to eat because you do eat and you get sick. And then it becomes this horrible cycle. So think of your soluble fiber foods as your safe foods. That's your safety net. Even if you're not really hungry, if you know you've gone too long without eating, get some kind of soluble fiber in your gut, even if it's just a little bit. Just, have half a banana, have a little packet of instant oatmeal, have a little bowl of white rice. It can be something boring, it's just fast and easy, but you're trying to kind of keep that soluble fiber in your gut so that you have something you're not afraid to eat. You need to know your trigger foods that you can avoid eating so they don't make you sick, but you also got to have your safe foods that this is what I can eat that's going to help me and not make me sick. I think it's kind of two sides of that coin. What do I have to be afraid of? But what do I know is going to help me? These are my friends. These are the safe foods for me. This is what I got to keep going with. Yeah.
Mary, did that help?
Yep, very much so. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I see Fran raising her hand down there. And hey, Fran, I would like to put you on next. Look on the bottom of your screen where it says reactions and hover your cursor over that or click on it. And then it'll say, raise your hand. Go ahead and click that so I can let you in. Yeah, I know when I first started using this, I was a little confused trying to use Zoom. Do you see it down there? Yeah, just click on reactions and then click on raise your hand. I'll tell you what, while you're trying to do that, we'll get someone else on, okay?
Do you want me to take a quick chat question?
Yeah, Fran actually posted here. Hold on a second. First, she said, I have a lot of bloating, 2 colonoscopies and endoscopies. Cannot fix it. IBS-C for quite a number of years. And then she goes on to say, she's got a couple, are there meds for prebiotics? So is that about right, Fran? Can you raise your hand and just say, yeah? Okay, cool.
Okay.
Right. Heather can start answering your questions.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a medication. Prebiotics are naturally occurring. They're all going to be soluble fibers. There's types of soluble fibers that ferment rapidly, and those are FODMAPs. You hear a lot about FODMAPs probably. You do want to avoid those. They will cause horrible bloating and gas, but they're slowly fermenting prebiotics, and that's going to be your foods, as well as your fiber supplement. So that's your rice, your potatoes, your oatmeal, basically everything on your safe list of green light foods for soluble fiber are all inherently slowly fermenting prebiotics. That's what you want to keep in your gut. Oh, there she is.
Hey, Heather, Brandon told me that I could just unmute Fran.
Oh, there you go.
So, hey, Frank, want to talk to Heather?
Yes, I've taken your soluble fibers and they weren't good for my stomach at all.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What happened to you?
It was very painful. I had a lot of pain.
What dose did you start at?
I had to quit taking it.
What dose did you start at?
I'll tell you what, when I went to my oncologist and gynecologist several years ago, they told me to take half a cup of warm prune juice, oatmeal, and what was the other one? And it works like crazy. It works.
Half a cup of prune juice, and what was the rest of it?
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, prune's a natural laxative. It's an irritant, which is why it's a laxative. So it
And
can
it
set off
works.
spasms and cramps for people. If it doesn't, that's great.
And it works great. And they told me to take Miralax.
That's
And
a drug.
That helped me. But now I've been getting a lot of like stomach discomfort and bloating after I eat. And I have to be careful of what I eat because of the IBS. And IBS-C. And so I have to see my GI doctor next week. So I've been going to them, and I know I have anxiety, and I know that's a big part of it too.
That is a huge part of it. Miralax itself has side effects. That's a drug laxative, so that can cause a lot of bloating and gas or spasms and cramps for people. It's really common. Just about all of the GI meds will help something, but set up other side effects. So mention that to your doc. For the anxiety, there's a great app called Nerva that's based on gut-directed hypnotherapy. And that can literally physically change the way your gut functions and interacts with your brain. Gets back to the brain gut disorder. So you might look into that.
It's an app called
It's
what?
an app called Nerva, Nerva.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that can really help. That would be much better vet, I think, for IBS that's linked to anxiety, to stress, even depression. That's something that's going to directly act on the brain gut disorder. It's a much better fit for IBS than something like antidepressants, which people get recommended for them and can kind of help or hurt. And that ties into some other survey questions we had about that.
Now, is that a medication or?
Nerva is not a medication. That's just an app.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of times people are recommended antidepressants, the drugs for IBS. And before you go that route for the anxiety, I would go with the gut-directed hypnotherapy first through something like Nerva.
Yeah, take antidepressants because I had a hard time about 5 years ago. They put me on so much medication that I can't take medication. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, let them know that because Miralax is a medication. So I would look into Nerva for the anxiety. That's not a drug. That's just the app. That can only do good things for you. It can't do anything bad.
Okay, it's an app, APP.
Yeah, it's just an iPhone app. Yeah, Nerva.
Okay.
And if anybody's tried that, yeah, jump in and let me know what you think because it's pretty new, but it's based on the Paulson protocol, which is pretty much the gold standard for IBS scripts for gut-directed hypnotherapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Heather,
Yep.
the phenol tea is really good for gas and bloating too, right?
That can really help. It's not going to address an underlying problem, but it's fantastic for the symptoms. All you can really do with IBS is manage those symptoms. So you might need a bunch of different weapons in your arsenal here. That's okay. The phenol tea can be one of them. Kind of combine everything that you need to get your symptoms under control.
No, I have the ginger tea, and I have your peppermint oil, and
Yeah, those can only help. Yeah, use everything that helps you. Throw it all against the wall, friend.
fennel tea.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
Fran, do you have the cheat sheet for trigger foods?
Trigger foods.
We can email that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That'll give you
Brandon,
help.
could you post the cheat sheet in the chat for everybody? So people that don't have the cheat sheet or know about it, this is a really great tool. It has the 10 commandments of eating for IBS. It has a cheat sheet with the trigger foods and the safe foods.
That will
And
get you
Fran-
the slowly fermenting prebiotics, soluble fiber, safe foods too, the green light.
Yeah, I know it's broccoli and cauliflower. That's
That's
bad.
insoluble fiber. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. Doesn't mean you don't eat it, but you gotta be careful with it. Get your soluble fiber foundation so you can carefully add in your insoluble fiber foods.
So Heather, isn't it true? A lot of people take parts of the advice that you give or the products, but then they're still eating things that are triggering attacks. So it's like that commercial on TV. Take this, what is it, Pepsid or whatever, and then they now you go back to eating this big chili dog with all this crap on it and cheese, right?
I can't
And you
watch
can
that
go back to life
commercial.
again, right? So maybe we should talk about the trigger foods.
Yeah. They had me.
Yeah, be careful with that. We'll send you the cheat sheet for that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
And I'm
you.
going to jump in really quick while you're looking for questions because Jessica asked a kind of fun one here about essential oils for anxiety. And yeah, you're right on that you can put a few drops of those in your hand and breathe them in. Anything that's got essential oils or high volatile oils will really help kind of calm your body and calm your gut quickly. So sometimes people do that with peppermint oil or lavender oil that they just inhale. Or you can literally ingest them as things like a high volatile peppermint tea or the fennel tea or the ginger or the chamomile. So anything like that that's herbal, I would play around with. That can be kind of shockingly helpful for IBS and just calming things down, making you feel better, getting on top of symptoms. So yeah, there's no downside to that at all. Yeah, people are chiming in with their combo of fennel and peppermint and chamomile and ginger. Yeah, they're all good. Lavender for sleep.
I see another question here from Holly. What's your experience with Vibrant now approved? And Holly, would you like to talk to Heather?
I haven't heard of that. So is that
There
a
you
new
are,
drug?
Holly. I'm going to unmute you so you can talk directly to Heather.
Hi. You actually, I think you referred me to it. It's a pill you take, but it's not a pill. It you then
Is this
make
the
it wiggle around in your gut to stimulate motility.
Oh God, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is the like the vibrating capsule that's supposed to help constipation.
exactly.
That is brand new. The only thing I've seen on it is probably the news article that I put in a newsletter because it was such an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I have not had any feedback from people who have used that. Did it help?
It's literally just approved by the FDA, and I'm planning on seeing my gastroenterologist
Okay.
to get more information. There
Okay.
are only a few doctors who can prescribe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will let you know what my experience is with it.
I would love that because yeah, all I've seen was the one, clinical trial that it was coming and had good studies, and now apparently it's actually out. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Tell me if that helps or
I
hurt
will.
or I'd love to be able to
Because
pass that on. I'm sure the people are going to ask.
nothing else is working. I mean, I use your fiber. I also use Metamucil, Miralax, um, Benefiber,
Have you had constipation your whole life?
warm prune juice, and I eat oatmeal for breakfast every morning. I do magnesium
Oh gosh.
in so nothing. I mean, it's more than a week.
Have you had
And
constipation your whole life? Did your parents tell you you were
no,
constipated as a
no, no,
baby?
no, 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 no,
No.
not at all. Um, it, I got IBS about 6 years ago, and I had the mixed kind. And then I found some digestive enzymes, which have basically taken care of the diarrhea aspect of it. And uh, as long as I eat every few hours a small whatever, and I don't overeat, I can't imagine eating rice anymore because of the constipation aspect of it. It's yeah,
That should
and I
actually
know,
help you. Any soluble fiber should help constipation, not just diarrhea. I know people think of those foods as binding, but soluble fiber is your regulator.
right?
You want to use that to get your insoluble fiber, your stimulant, that's your roughage, but carefully. And you're on a whole bunch of different kind of fiber supplements. I would look at what your total dose is for
No, no,
that.
no. I don't do all of them at the same
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I stick with one for a few days, and if it doesn't work, I move to the next one. And and I guess about 3 or 4 days, I'm um, stuck with one product.
I would that might not you might not be getting results from that because that's not the ideal way to use your soluble fiber supplements. You're jumping between ones that have very different densities and volumes, so your dose is jumping up and down in terms of grams. And
Right.
the only way that soluble fiber really works is to gradually increase your dose consistently until you get it up to a high enough dose. And it might be 30 plus grams a day for constipation. That's not uncommon. 25 to 30 grams is kind of average on top of dietary fiber in your foods. So it's a gradual process to work that up, but you don't want to go jump it up and down, and it's not going to work like a laxative like in 3 or 4 days. It's a process, and it can take several months for people with constipation to gradually work up to the fiber dose that they need to keep in their gut 24/7. So
Mm-hmm.
your dose is kind of, if you're measuring the same like teaspoon or tablespoon dose, you're actually changing your dose every time you switch supplements because the density is different, particularly the Metamucil. You have to look at the ingredients on that, but if it's a sugar one, it's not going to be very fiber dense at all. The most volume is coming from sugar. If it's not a sugar one and it's artificially sweetened, that could actually be causing problems. Those artificial sweeteners are really hard on the gut. So you might take a look at how you're doing that and try to pick one and be consistent with it and gradually work your dose up in terms of grams. That might work better for you.
Pick one. I thought for a few days, I thought that Metamucil, the sugar kind, rather than the sugar-free,
Yeah.
because I know the sorbitals and all of those are triggers
They're awful.
according to FODMAP. And so I used the sugar one, and I took a glass twice a day. And it seemed to work for 3 days, and then it didn't work.
What was your dose? Like how much do you have in a glass? Just a serving?
About 8 ounces of water and a really heaping tablespoon of the Metamucil.
So if you look on the label, that's probably about 2 grams of actual fiber in a heaping tablespoon, because most of it's sugar. So if you're doing that twice a day, that's 4 grams of fiber a day. You may well need 25 to 30 grams of a fiber supplement for constipation. Yeah, but you can't jump to that. So I'm going to honestly tell you, I don't think it was making a difference. I don't think fiber is doing anything for you. It's not going to hurt you, but it's not going to help the way that you're using it. And everything else impacting your gut, for better or worse, is going to keep doing that. So I think you could probably, get much better results from that by picking one that take the Metamucil out, so you don't have all these other ingredients that you don't need that aren't helping you. And then look at your dose in terms of grams. And if you're typically doing like 2 grams in the morning, 2 grams at night, get that consistent.
That's not enough.
That's not enough, but don't jump to a higher dose. What you want to do is keep the 2 grams in the morning, 2 grams in the night. And then every 3 days or so, add an extra gram of fiber to one dose. Wait 3 days, add an extra gram of fiber to your other dose. So you're stair-stepping your dose up morning and evening. It's going to take a while. It might take several months to get up to what you need for constipation. If you try to rush it and go too far too fast, you're just going to give yourself bloating and gas. But you should see improvements as you gradually go along. And if you need laxatives in the meantime, then you do. That's okay. Use what you need. But you should be able to gradually work down the Miralax or other laxatives, and ideally gradually work off of them. But you got to get your gut to a tipping point with that fiber first. And that may well be like the 20 grams a day point is your tipping point. And then you still have to gradually keep working that up to maybe 25 or 30 grams a day, which is okay. Fiber is only good for you. The catch is you can't just start taking 30 grams extra fiber today and resolve constipation. I wish it worked like that. It just doesn't. It's a process. But I wouldn't give up on it, because I think you can get much better results from it if you just use it a little bit more the way it needs to be used.
Okay. And so you wouldn't recommend the Metamucil?
I wouldn't, because of all the garbage they add to it that's not going to help you. You don't need sugar in there. And the psyllium can cause bloating and gas. So that would be my kind of last choice. Some people do okay with it.
I have ground up psyllium husks that have nothing added to them.
That's better than the Metamucil, because the only thing in Metamucil that will help you is the psyllium. But psyllium is about 1/3 insoluble fiber instead of 100% soluble. So that's a wild card. The insoluble portion there can cause bloating and gas. So you might want to switch something that's 100% soluble instead.
Like yours.
Yeah. The acacia is a good one, and the tummy fiber. For IBS, I mean, you don't have a normal gut, right? You're not just a normal person taking Metamucil. You really want something that's got nothing in there that can bother you. No insoluble fiber, no other ingredients, no artificial sweeteners. You just want soluble fiber that's not going to rapidly ferment, that you can work up your dose on.
I hope all that helped you. We got a whole bunch of other questions here we're going to get to. Are you good?
I'm excellent.
I thought you were going to say okay.
Thank you.
I'm okay.
Quickly, how do you... I find I can't dissolve your fiber.
Add it to moist foods. Just throw it right in moist foods with breakfast or dinner. If you want it in a liquid, add the powder to an empty glass first, and then just add lukewarm water till it dissolves, like you dissolve cornstarch. If I want it in water, I just add a little bit, just enough to get it dissolved, just like cornstarch, a little bit more. And then I walk away and I do things for a couple minutes, and I come back and stir it again, and it should totally disappear. But even easier, just dump it into whatever you're having for
Right.
your oatmeal. Yeah.
It's like coffee in the morning, but
Oh, be careful. That's a big trigger. That might give you pain and spasms.
okay.
Be careful. Yeah, just dissolve it
I
first, then
will.
add your coffee. That'll work a lot better than dumping it on top of hot coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Holly,
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, you can stay.
Yeah.
You can stay here, but I'm gonna unmute you here or mute you down. Okay. We got so many questions,
I
guys.
know.
So I'm gonna tell you how this works because a lot of people, this is the first time to use Zoom. And I'm hearing feedback in my headphone. So if I don't sound like I'm talking very clearly, it's because I'm fighting this noise. I wrote a lot of people in the chat. Check your chat. I see Sue and I see Cece. And I've written a couple of you ask you to raise your hand. So if you raise your hand, you'll move up in my gallery view so I can see you and I can unmute you. Okay. Don't be afraid. I am really shy and this is scaring the shit out of me. I'm like really nervous doing this. So you're not alone. Be brave. This is your chance to talk to Heather. I'm telling you, there's these little things that you may be missing, and this is your chance to figure out what that is and get your health under control. Okay. So I'm looking through the chat.
And I'm going to
Sue?
jump in with
Yeah,
one
go
quick
ahead,
question
Heather.
that was chatted from Shiama. I hope I'm not butchering your name, because this kind of falls on and we just had the discussion about the Metamucil, and she's asking about Citrusol. Is Citrusol a good fiber supplement to take? That's another one I would kind of scotch off my list with Metamucil. It's a synthetic. It's literally man-made. Fibers are all from plants, and this is like literally a lab-made fiber. So it's not going to be prebiotic at all because it's synthetic. What I really don't like about Citrusol is kind of the same with Metamucil, is all the stuff they add to it that you don't need, that's not going to help you, that may be setting you off, the artificial sweeteners or the artificial flavors and colors and citric acid. And then it's really thick and you have to kind of chug it down fast, and that can set off bloating and gas. So Citrusol would not be at the top of my list any more than Metamucil would. Be a little careful with that one.
Hey, Heather.
Yeah.
I'm gonna unmute Cherry.
Okay.
Hi, Cherry. Hold on. Like she's using her husband's account.
Okay.
Joel. I think I see you there. Okay. Here we go. Unmuting you right now, Cherry.
Thank you.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, where are you from?
Las Vegas. Right now.
Oh, hot.
God, you must have been
Yeah,
getting
it is
filled with the
hot.
heat.
It is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had IBS probably since I was a child. I'm 75 years old. I've had it under pretty good control. I've been using your fiber for years.
Okay.
I have it in the kitchen. I'm just not sure how much to use. I've been listening to other people. What 20 grams? I just looked it up. What 20 grams is tablespoons? I probably use 2 or 3 tablespoons in the morning with a hot drink, and that usually is okay. I recently went off escitalopram, which is a depression medication,
Okay.
because I figured I don't need that, and I just have been slammed with IBS again. So I don't know if that is the trigger.
It might be. Did they have you titrate off of that gradually?
I actually did. I did it on
Okay.
my own, but I did. I went down from
Okay.
half to a quarter over a series of days.
Okay.
Now the same with trazodone for sleep. So I was on 2 drugs that I didn't want to be on. And then I'm just slammed with this problem again. So
They
I-
probably were definitely playing a role. Antidepressants affect serotonin, and people think of that as a brain neurotransmitter, but 90% of the serotonin in your body is in your gut. And again, there's that brain-gut link. So antidepressants can kind of help or hurt people depending on the dosage and the class of that. It sounds like they were actually helping you, and then you pulled them out, and so now it's kind
Right.
of set things off.
right, it did.
Yeah, but that's okay. We can get you back on track. Did it set you more off towards diarrhea or constipation?
Just horrible belly pain. So neither one of the constipation or diarrhea things.
Oh,
It's just
interesting.
really bad, like doubling over.
And it's not tied to any kind of bowel movement. Is it just standalone pain?
Yeah.
So that technically isn't really falling within the rubric of IBS. It has to be the lower abdominal pain, but in association with diarrhea, constipation, or back and forth. If that just suddenly sent you to a point where now you just have like abdominal pain that's severe, but it's not tied to bowel movements, I would check in with your doc about that. That's not within the IBS spectrum. It might still be tied to those meds. I'm not sure, but technically that
I've
doesn't
gone
fit.
to all the doctors over the years, and I even swallowed a capsule
Yeah,
to have it
capsule
tracked down, and you don't have any problem with it.
nothing.
Mm-mm.
Well, for fast help for the pain, you could try peppermint. That's a smooth muscle
And I have
relaxant,
done that.
antispasmodic.
Yep.
Yeah, painkiller. It can't hurt. It can only help.
And I
Be
have
careful with
fennel.
heartburn.
I have everything that you recommend. And thank you for that, because
Yeah.
it's been helping, and all of a sudden, yeah. So I was just wondering what your experience might be with maybe going off these medications, if that is trigger
Yeah,
somehow.
that can happen if they were helping you, if they were doing something for your serotonin that was helping the IBS. It's atypical that you suddenly have pain and as a standalone symptom.
Yeah.
I would actually ask your pharmacist as well, not your doc, but if you have a local pharmacist you like, not a tech, make sure you get the real pharmacist. Ask them, because a lot of times they have better drug info than the doctors, and they also get a lot more feedback from patients firsthand about
Okay,
drugs,
yeah.
right, than the doctors do.
Yes.
They might have some good recommendations there.
Okay.
And then I would split your tummy fiber dose, whatever you're taking there, make it consistent. So don't go between 2 and 3 tablespoons. That's a big difference. That's 6 grams a day. That's a big change.
Yeah.
But divide it in half so you have a morning and evening dose. So again, you're
Okay.
keeping it in your gut 24/7.
Okay.
And get a beat on whether 2 or 3 is better for you, because the high end is really just constipation. Everybody else will end up on a lower.
But yeah, I do have a tendency for constipation. I always have.
Okay, so then 2 or 3 might be fine. I mean, it's kind of a range. 3 to 5 is sort of average for the tablespoons for constipation.
Okay.
Much more than the diarrhea. But yeah, that pain concerns me. And
Oh,
if they can't find a reason, if they think it's just some weird gut reaction, kind of like IBS as a result of getting off those meds, the Nerva app might be something for you as well, because that's a
Okay.
non-drug approach, and it's not just for anxiety or stress related. It literally ties into the brain gut disorder.
Okay.
And it's really good for pain.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
can't
appreciate
hurt. That's the nice thing about the app and the gut-directed hypnotherapy. It
Right.
can't do anything bad for you. It can only help.
Right. Okay. But I will up that fiber.
Yeah, and be consistent. Get an idea of what dose you need, and if you still have the
Yeah.
constipation, make a gradual increase till you're stable, and then stay at what that dose is consistently.
Okay. I will do that. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate your help
Oh, thank
and your
you.
products.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Sherry.
Stay cool.
Thank you.
Hey, Carol is the first brave soul to raise her hand. So, Carol, you're next. I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
How are you
Hi,
today?
Carol.
I'm
For
good. How
having
are
me.
you doing, Carol?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Where
So
you
I'm
from?
in Canada, and I
Ah.
know
Alright.
yes. Well, thank you for your kind comments earlier. It's sometimes
love
difficult to get your products here, Heather, and I do enjoy them. So I was wondering, I was looking on your site earlier, and I know there's some products that are back ordered and stuff. And I was just wondering if I can't get your products, let's say for the teas or something, and I know they're medicinally strong teas you have, is there another kind you recommend? Like if I just go into a health store and get peppermint tea, I'm assuming it's not as strong.
It won't be, but if you have a good source for bulk herbs, like a health food store or a Whole Foods kind of store where they literally have like a bulk herbs section, that can be the best bet. If you can find a store that has hopefully storing them in the dark so they're not just out under store lights 24/7, because light and heat would degrade the volatile oils. But if they're going through enough of it fast enough, and if they have whole peppermint leaf, like large peppermint leaf or whole fennel seeds, that would be the best bet. If you can get a fresh source of those and they smell really strong, then brew like 2 tablespoons in a giant tea strainer for a cup, like a big mug, and make it as strong as you can.
I haven't seen that in the stores before, to be honest.
Whole Foods had it, and I know I've seen like health food stores that have a bulk, but anything that has a bulk section would be the best bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
Hey,
that's a
Heather,
tough one. Yeah.
I want to tell Carol, when we used to live in Northampton, there was a store called Bread and Circus. And so I used to go there all the time and buy peppermint tea bulk for Heather because that was her go-to.
Mhm.
And one day I was in there and I was thinking, how do I fill in this big jar? And so I started poking around underneath the counter in this cabinet and I found these big 1 pound bags. And so I found a person in the store and I said, how do I get hold of these 1 pound bags, right? He said, you want a whole bag? I said, oh yeah. So they gave me 10% off, right? So just go to the store and say, hey, maybe I could get a whole bag of, peppermint loose leaf for you. Okay. And see what
Okay.
happens.
Yeah, and if you can
Alright.
only get a bit, I mean, literally, if you can only get like a giant 1 pound bag or something, freeze the extra. Just take out what you need to use for a couple months
Oh.
or something in the kitchen. Yeah, and then just keep it anything airtight, stick it in the freezer. That will get you months extra of long-term storage for fennel or any of your herbs and spice. Actually, that's the way to keep them fresh.
Okay. So if I have bought, like, I know before I realized that, like, my fennel tea, because I bought the big bag from you before, was like a year past the date. Is it actually still good
It
past the
won't,
date?
yeah, nothing's gonna like go bad and make you sick. But the volatile oils are gonna dissipate over time, especially if it's been at room temperature, exposed to light. It just won't be nearly as strong. It'd be like using a kitchen herb or spice that's old. Eventually, it just isn't gonna taste like anything. So
Okay.
you might want to use a much larger amount per cup, brew it for a longer amount of time. If it still brews really dark brown, that's a good indication. If it smells and it tastes strong, that's a really good indication. But if you brew it and it's like, this doesn't really taste like anything,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to get any
Probably
benefits from it. Yeah. And the fennel kind of fades, I think, faster than the peppermint. Peppermint can really hang in there with those volatile oils, but fennel seems to be kind of a little more perishable.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Heather,
Yeah.
let's see, I'm just scanning the chat here.
We are wrapping up, right?
Yeah, we probably have time for 1 or 2 more questions. So please raise your hand. Okay.
And taste of the fennel
Okay.
tea. Fennel tea tastes like licorice, like black licorice, sort of a mild black licorice, which I've learned people love or hate. Nobody is divided on that one. So if you hate the taste of black licorice, try adding a little bit of honey, that can help, or brew it with some other tea that you do like. Peppermint in particular just totally kills the taste of fennel, but you'll still get the benefits. Or if you like a chai, get an herbal chai and add the extra fennel tummy tea in it, so you get the benefits, but it tastes more like chai. Or if you like black licorice, then fennel's your go-to.
Heather,
Yes.
this person that was asking a question, and I tried to chat with them.
Oh.
Ashley, there you are. Ashley, would you like to talk to Heather? Good for you in the list here. To unmute you, but if you raise your hand, if you find you easier.
And somebody's asking about safe protein sources. So any kind of seafood, skinless chicken breast, you want the white meat, no dark meat, no skin, egg whites. You can buy plain rice protein powder. You could add to your smoothies. If your gut is used to beans and soy milk, unsweetened soy milk can be a good source of protein. Oatmeal actually has a decent amount of protein in it. But for most folks, egg whites, your skinless poultry, white meat only, any kind of seafood. Those are all going to be totally safe protein sources.
Hey, Heather, Ashley, raise her hand.
Oh, there you are.
Okay. But, yeah, that's okay.
And I don't have a promo code for Nerva for Carol, who's asking. I don't have any ties to Nerva at all. It's just a brand new app that's based on Pulse and Protocol, which is good.
Ashley,
Thanks.
you're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks so much for answering my question. That really helps.
Okay.
I've actually had I've had issues since I was in college, so it's been about 20 years, and I stumbled upon your website, and so your list of foods really helped.
Okay.
And I recently got COVID, and for me, COVID, the first symptom tends to be GI issues, and so that's why I was wondering about the proteins. Here lately, I can't really eat anything but cream of rice or rice cakes or plain bread,
Just your
maybe
soluble
bananas.
fiber.
Yeah.
What do you use for non-dairy milk?
I typically use almond milk. I was using soy, but at a point I was consuming so much soy that I was worried about just having that much soy protein in my diet. So I
Amber?
stopped using it.
Okay. There shouldn't be concerns if you're okay with it. Like regular use, just unsweetened soy milk should be fine. But
Okay.
you can get plain rice protein powder, one ingredient only. So that's something you could use and just add to whatever else. Your cream of rice cereal, just put it right in there. Your instant oatmeal, just put it right in there. Yeah, if you can add in any kind of like plain, a simple white fish would be good, safe protein. Egg whites without the yolk.
Okay.
You might be able to make like a smoothie that's got your, base it on bananas for your soluble fiber. You can actually throw a little instant oatmeal into your smoothie, add your rice protein powder, add some egg whites, or you can get powdered egg whites, which are totally safe as well, or egg beaters, or just egg whites. And then skinless chicken breast. So maybe like a plain chicken noodle, chicken rice soup, heavy on the rice or heavy on the noodles. Make sure you're skimming all the fat off of that. That can be a safe one for people. Any of the white meat, not the skin, not the dark meat. And then COVID is, yeah, they're really tying COVID, especially long COVID, into gut upsets, more than respiratory even. And there's a whole page on the website that's just dedicated to COVID and IBS and all the research that comes out that ties it to anything to the gut. I'm just posting all of the links there. So you might want to check that out. There's a lot of research coming out on that, and then things that might help it as well. And you might also really want to try to get your gut bacteria going, because COVID's probably really affected it. So the more that you can get your slowly fermenting prebiotics and get your gut bacteria built up, it might have really been assaulted by the COVID virus. They're kind of tying that all together.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I hope you're doing better soon.
Thank you.
Hey, Heather.
Yeah.
SHYANA has a question.
Okay.
Is Citrusol a good fiber supplement to take?
Oh, I covered that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
did you
not,
already?
yeah, it's not my
I'm
fave.
reading all these chats and
I
I'm not
know.
listening
There's
to
been a
everything
lot
you're
of questions
saying.
flying back and forth. So thank you to everybody for giving us all your questions. It's really nice. I hope I haven't missed a ton of people.
Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up soon, guys.
Yeah, let's take one more and then we'll call it a wrap.
If you asked a question before and you want to ask again, go for it. So, seems like everybody's happy and content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So what do
Well,
we do to wrap these things up?
Thank
Heather?
you. I say thank you to everybody for showing up and showing your pretty faces and your names and being brave enough to share your stories with people so that everybody can see everybody else and realize it's not just you and you're not crazy and you're not all alone and you're not some weirdo. That everybody around you, really, so many people have IBS and you have no idea because they just don't talk about it. But if you start talking about it, you'll probably find out that there's people in your own family that have it, that your neighbors have it, that people you work with, all these other people you've never even imagined. I sometimes feel like everybody around me has IBS. So it's not just you. You're not alone. Don't give up. There's lots of help. There's lots of information and education and things you can do and eat and not eat or take or not take. And it might take a whole combination of all those things to get IBS under control, and that's fine too. You got to do what your gut needs you to do and get stable so that you can stay there. So I hope this was helpful. I think there's some follow-up emails that we're going to be sending out to people about this. And thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it. It was fantastic. You guys made my day. I think Will has one last thing to say.
Yeah.
You signing off?
We could use reviews, really help us. If anybody's so inclined and you want to
20 plus
put a
years.
video review on your phone and post it on TikTok or just send it to us, that would really help us. Okay. And Brandon's posted the sale link in the chat again. So some of you said that you're looking for the tummy fiber and this is a good chance to save some money. All right.
Yeah. Think we're good?
Well, thank you
All
for
right. Thank
coming.
you, everybody. Yeah. Appreciate it
Okay.
so much. Have a wonderful
All right.
day.
Take care, everybody.